Today, we're diving into the psychology of fear and why spooky tales are far more than just entertainment. Why do we love being scared? Why do we seek out haunted houses, ghost stories, horror films, even when they terrify us? And why, in the darkest moments of human history, does fear-based storytelling thrive? Welcome back to the Curiosity Files. I'm Larry Flaxman, best-selling author, paranormal theorist, and investigator of all things strange, speculative, and scientifically slippery. Each week, we explore the edge where mystery meets meaning, and today, we're turning the lens inward. Because fear isn't just an emotion, it's an evolutionary mechanism. It's a cultural signal. And maybe, most importantly, it's an ancient tool for making sense of the unknown. So, why do we crave fear? And what does our fascination with the paranormal say about how we process reality? Let's start with something obvious, but often misunderstood. Fear is not a weakness, it's a biological survival mechanism. Fear sharpens your focus, it raises your heartbeat, it prepares you to fight, flee, or freeze. From an evolutionary standpoint, that cave dweller who jumped at shadows lived longer than the ones who didn't. But over time, the things that we fear have shifted from predators to the unknown, and that's where the stories begin. Fear-based storytelling lets us explore the dangerous and the mysterious without real-world consequences. It's simulation, it's rehearsal, and it's strangely fun. When you hear a ghost story, or step into a haunted location, or even just feel like someone's watching you, your brain responds immediately. The amygdala, the brain's emotional processor, lights up. Your hypothalamus dumps adrenaline. Your body enters fight or flight mode, even if you're just sitting on the couch watching a horror movie. But here's the twist. Your brain knows the threat isn't real. So it turns fear into a roller coaster ride, a safe, contained thrill. This is why we like being scared in controlled environments. It's fear with a safety net. And that paradox, seeking fear to feel safe, is hardwired into how humans process stories. Let's take a step back. Every culture in the world has ghost stories. But those stories aren't just entertainment, they're warnings, they're moral lessons, they're ways of passing down social rules and existential fears. In some cases, they reflect collective trauma. In Japan, for example, Yuri stories, ghosts in white with long black hair, emerged during times of mass death and social upheaval. In Appalachia, haint tales became oral warnings about the dangers of isolation and wilderness. And across the globe, folklore uses monsters to reinforce boundaries. Don't go into the woods alone. Don't disrespect the dead, and don't ignore your ancestors. Spooky tales are how cultures tell their young. The world is strange and dangerous. Here's what you need to survive it. Sometimes fear isn't just about survival. It's about longing. Paranormal stories often center around grief, unresolved emotion, and the desire for connection with the dead. Why? Well, because ghost stories offer something that other genres don't. The suggestion that death isn't the end, that someone is still watching, still listening, still present. For many, the ghost story isn't scary at all. It's comforting. It gives shape to grief, it provides continuity to loss, and it lets us hold on just a little longer. So the psychology of fear isn't always about danger. Sometimes it's about love, turned inside out. Now here's something fascinating. Historically, our obsession with fear intensifies during collective anxiety. During pandemics, war, and social instability, we see massive spikes in horror entertainment, ghost reporting, and fascination with the supernatural. Why? Because When real life becomes uncertain, we turn to fictional fear as a pressure valve. Controlled scares let us process uncontrolled chaos. They give shape to anxiety. They provide catharsis. They make fear feel like something that we can face, name, and survive. So when the world feels broken, our brains crave spooky stories. It's not weakness, it's adaptation. Let's talk about the uncanny, that eerie sensation when something is both familiar and unfamiliar at the same time. A doll that feels too lifelike, a hallway that feels just a little too quiet, a voice on an EVP that sounds almost like someone you knew. The uncanny activates a deep, ancient discomfort within us. Psychologists suggest it's tied to our early survival instincts. Things that look almost human, but not quite, were flagged as a threat, but we're drawn to it. The uncanny is the emotional space where fear and fascination collide. It's what makes ghost stories linger. It's what makes us rewind the scary part, even when we're covering our eyes. We want the unknown, not because it's safe, but because it reminds us there's more to existence than we understand. We tell ghost stories not just to scare ourselves, but to explore what we fear the most: death, loss, the unknown, being watched, being forgotten, and sometimes being remembered too vividly. Spooky tales are mirrors. They reflect our hopes, our anxieties, and our need to understand the dark. In telling them, we gain a little power, a little perspective, and maybe a little peace. So, what do you think? Why are we drawn to fear? Why do we tell ghost stories around the fire, even when we know we won't sleep that night? Is it just thrill seeking? Or is it something deeper, an ancient part of us that needs the unknown to make sense of life? Let's talk about it in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts, your experiences, and even your favorite ghost stories and why they've stuck with you. And if you enjoy these psychological deep dives into the supernatural, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, and consider buying me a coffee using the link below. It helps keep this show independent, curious, and weird in all the best ways. Thanks for watching. I'm Larry Flaxman, and this is The Curiosity Files.